Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Looking for the ladies here. I'd like to have you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and place your hands on your heart.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. At this point, I'd like to call for the agenda approval.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazzi?
I move the council to remove item 13A for the budget, because we don't have a hard copy in front of us.
Here it is.
Okay. At this point, we will remove that and ask for a line-by-line itemization of the budget.
Is that your motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
Approve the agenda with the removal of
Yes.
13A, second the motion.
Pardon? Okay, well, at this point, would you like to, let's go to, those who would like to remove it, say aye.
Aye.
Council Chair,
Councilman,
we need some input here.
okay, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
Discussion.
I'm looking at this, what the, Mr. Mayor passed along to us, and I can see the budget adoption motions for our millage. It's kind of hard for me to vote on something when I don't have the hard copy of everything line by line that we had. So I don't understand what this is.
Well, you wrapped up, if I might, through the chair, you didn't wrap the budget up till late Thursday night. There's no way to process the full budget and all the printout. So what we did is we took the amount that was on the website, the one that everybody has, and all the adjustments that the council made, and that gives you the new total. So this new total does not include any of those adjustments. And those were the only adjustments that we knew about. So we've actually, we're respectfully, but that, we need almost a week to prepare all that printout and do all those changes. And we could not turn that around in 2 days.
Okay, at this point, I'm willing to give us a week and have a special meeting next Tuesday in the council chambers here. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Seconded.
Okay, at that point,
Can
we'll...
people still make comments on the budget? There's a lot of people here who'd like to make
At this
comments.
point,
Since it's not on the agenda.
it's not going to be
not
on the
on the
agenda.
agenda.
You can't make comments.
How convenient.
Madam Chair, we have a motion on the floor. We should vote
Yeah, let's vote.
when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's vote.
Madam Chair, people are entitled to actually make comments.
Excuse me, but we're running the council meeting right now.
The thing is, it's supposed to be agenda items only.
And we're trying to go
We made that
by...
agreement, you're well aware of it.
Is this
Agenda items only.
Is this 5A right now?
Let's do the vote.
And it was taken
We're gonna
off the
say
agenda.
all in favor to move off the
Under
Madam
item
Chair, may I
13.
please?
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have the, may I have the floor,
Councilwoman Hicks
please?
Clayton?
Just to point out, that's only under public hearings 5, that's agenda items, but there is time for comments under item 14.
14C.
Which would be 14C.
Public comments.
There is
So I would
time.
ask for people to stick around. You can make your comments under item 14. I plan on making some.
So we have a motion on the floor. Call the vote.
We have a motion
Already
on the
voted.
floor to remove the budget from the agenda until next week when we can thoroughly look through it and get a hard copy of the complete line by line.
Was that seconded?
Lisa seconded.
Lisa seconded it. Bill? All right, those in favor of removing it from the agenda today, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Senior Alliance.
Okay, next we have Senior Alliance, Tamara Kiger.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Paleko. Thank you for the warm welcome, Clerk Krashevich, Treasurer Riley, and council members. My name is Tamara Kiger. I am the newer CEO at the Senior Alliance. I've been there about 14 months. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you this evening about our agency. About once a year, we get out and try to visit the 34 communities in our service area to report on the very vital services that we provide for the residents. And this year, we're here to talk about last year, fiscal year 2017, when your local match of $4,661 helped us significantly to provide those services. As noted in the one-page report that you have in your packet, it looks like this. We provided services to 902 Dearborn Heights residents in fiscal year 2017. 400 clients were served by our Information and Assistance Department, which receives over 40,000 calls a year. And I encourage anyone who may have questions to call. It doesn't matter. You can call about a family member, a friend, spouse, parent. This information staff provide resource referrals, links to different services in the community, and their whole goal is to make sure that people are able to age safely in their homes. 202 clients were served through our in-home programs. So those include the Medicaid My Choice Waiver Program, which helps low-income seniors and adults with disabilities to receive the care they need to stay in their own home versus a nursing facility. We have nursing facility transition services, which assist qualified individuals to transition from a nursing facility back into their community. And we have care management and care coordination services, which provides in-home services to adults over 60, and that's funded with the Older Americans Act dollars. 12 clients were served in our non-emergency transportation program, receiving over 70 rides. We have 5 vehicles that provide this service. 288 clients were served through our nutrition program, most commonly known as Meals on Wheels. So that is not only home-delivered meals, but also includes meals at congregate sites, liquid nutrition, and we also have a halal meal option. So while we operate with a budget of almost $30 million, I am proud to tell you that only 4% of that goes to administration. 96% of the dollars we receive goes back into the communities that we serve. I'm also pleased to tell you that our audits are unqualified and have had no findings, recommendations, or management letters for at least the last 10 years. So we thank you for helping us serve older adults and their caregivers. Your long-standing support is greatly appreciated. We work continually to inform the community of our services. We offer, if there's ever any events you would like us to attend to talk about our services, please reach out to us. We're happy to do so. If you or anyone watching at home would like further information about the Senior Alliance programs, please call us at 800-815-1112 or emailing info@thesenioralliance.org. You can also visit our newly designed website at www.thesenioralliance.org. Follow us on Facebook or Twitter at AAA1C. So again, thank you very much for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or try to answer any that you may have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to go back and revisit the agenda approval minus the adoption of the budget. That is item 3.
We had a motion.
We already moved it, but we didn't vote on the rest of the agenda approval.
Ms. Chair,
Councilman
I
Muscat?
move council approve the agenda minus
13A.
13A as submitted.
Second.
Seconded by Hicks Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of May 8th, 2018.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting of May 8th, 2018 as submitted.
Second.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton seconds it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we have public hearings and comment on agenda items. This is for items that are currently on the agenda. We ask there be no personal attacks, and please limit it to 2 minutes. Come up and state your name and address. Okay. Anyone? Okay, hearing none. Next is... It would have to be, there is a comment at the end. At the end. That's where you want to be. Okay, next on the agenda, we have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve current claims 6-1 through 645 as submitted.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I've got one on, I've got actually 5 of them that I need some answers. We have one, the first one is on 6-7. It's inventory auto parts. I'm not aware, or maybe I should be aware, about if we have any cars at DPW. I thought they were all trucks. And these auto parts are all for a car. And why are we buying auto parts? Shouldn't the cars be going out for repair? And if we are repairing them, I see all the other departments taking their cars out for repair, but these are auto parts. And they're for Crown Victorias. I called the auto value store, and these were for Crown Victorias, and are being charged to the water department. And I'd like to know why.
Director Zimmer, would you like to comment?
No, I'm sorry.
At this point, we need some kind of answer.
He may not be, he may be having a medical.
Yeah, he's got a medical issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
it could be
okay?
medical. Well, let's move on then.
Move on.
Okay, we're going to move on from that. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I've got other questions here
Go
for
ahead.
other items.
Where do you go?
Is he okay? Is he
They just called the paramedics out. So let's, yeah. Continue.
Okay, well, let's...
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over the ones from his department then, because there's nobody else here to answer those questions. I do have one on 616. This is just a workman's, I guess the mayor can answer this, really. This is a workman's comp case here? Okay, so that's off.
Okay.
You can't, okay, I understand that. And then I have one here on 620, hard rock concrete. I'd like to get some, they put a job number on this, and this is just more of a comment than a question. I'd like to have a place of where this work is being done. We just get a job number, and it would be helpful, and I've asked for this before, where they actually give us the location of the job. They got a job number here. Job number doesn't do me much of a good.
Is it Silvery Lane?
I don't see it anywhere on the paperwork. Now, I could be missing it. All I get is a job number and street paving program, and I've looked, I didn't see anything.
It's Silver Lane.
Okay, and that's fine. It's just, that there. And then I have one on 624. It's the K-9 training fee, $1,700, but on this, it's 1 day. Dates of training, April 4, 2018. Oh, okay, it's 1 year. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. I misread it, and I apologize for taking your time.
I do want to, there's one thing that came to mind. The two for the meter readers, We did have them in Rangers. The Rangers were recalled, and they're sitting out there. Ford told us not to drive them. They were utilizing, I believe, Crown Vics, and I know that a couple of them told me they had no air conditioning, there were problems with them. But it was kind of, and I'm guessing Bill would be the alternative.
These weren't air conditioning, these were for all sorts of different kind of parts, gas tanks and all sorts of different things. But what I want to know is who's working on them? Are we fixing these ourselves?
Yeah, we got mechanics.
Okay, that's a question that's I accept it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
Any
Madam
further,
Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
I still have the same concern with item 631 with sewer cleaning. I'm going to vote no for, since this item goes with everything in 6. I'm going to vote no for all of it, because we still, I would suggest that we get another company that has better equipment to detect, see who's dumping and what's in our sewer system. We keep paying, again, we keep paying these fees, and we don't know anything.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
With what, all due respect to you, Councilman, can we make what I would suggest is an amendment to the motion and remove 631? You would vote on the amendment and then vote on the claims. So that,
they've already done the work, so we would be paying them for work that they've.
I understand, but the councilman is
But he never
addressed
votes
an
for
issue.
it anyway. It's a hope that a majority rules. Let them vote no.
And if I can just say real quick, if you've noticed, it's the price has come down, so they're having to clean it less. We've narrowed it down to about 5 locations. I met with Dan Brooks just this week. We're going to be meeting with particular businesses to go through their best practices of what they're doing, because even though they might have grease interceptors in their business, they may be putting the grease in other sinks in their businesses. And we're also finding that a lot of them are not coming back to businesses. They're random homes and a stretch of anywhere from 20 to 30 homes. Again, from what I understand, even with the best cameras, we cannot identify that something is coming from a particular house once it gets into the main line, so.
Madam Chair?
Councilman
Voted
Constant?
a couple times ago to have a study session about this, the
Yeah,
procedure, this company
it never happened.
using another company. So,
Mr. Chair.
Councilman
It would
Muscat?
be prudent that, and believe me, I'm 100% with Mr. Councilman Bazey here. I was the one that initially brought this up a couple of years ago about the multiple times each line got cleaned and the repetition on it. And but I think if we have a study session before we stop payment on this, because as I look through this, and I keep a good track of this too, I believe there's only two of these items that were on here
Repeat.
last time, I believe. And I have talked to a few business owners who are kind of now getting the message from ordinance about the grease traps, and they're kind of a little upset that we're making them do it, but we have an ordinance as an ordinance, and so I'm getting that feedback. So I really push for a study session. Council Chair, if you could set something up
I can do that.
and have the proper people here,
Yeah, that
we
would
can
be-
discuss this, and we
Yeah,
can
'cause-
try to figure out, get to the bottom of it.
That would be fine, then. We can do that.
Council Chair.
Any other discussion?
If I may, I think the important question here is also, are they doing the work that's been contracted for? If they were not hired to do all the things that we might want them to do, but they've done what they were basically hired to do, then there would not be an adequate basis not to pay them.
I think we've mentioned that we want pictures before and after to make sure they thoroughly cleaned it. I don't know if they're able to do that, or...
Well, if you have a study session on this point, it might be good to find out, and there
Yeah,
might be an
because
additional cost for that service, but I think it would be appropriate to make sure that it's understood what they're supposed to
But
do before, not paying them, because if they've done what they're supposed to do, then we have a problem.
We need to also, have some companies that can come in and propose something. I've talked to a company that they have better equipment that they can put cameras and they can tell. So at least pinpoint where it's coming from. This is the 21st century. And if, like I said before, if they're dumping grease down these same sewers over and over, what else are they dumping? So that's my concern. And I haven't seen a study session. I haven't seen anybody present anything to the council as to where that stuff's coming from or what the city is willing to do to make sure there's corrective action.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we have reports from city officials. Community and Economic Developer Director Hashem, Program Year 2018-2019 CDBG Action Plan.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks. Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move City Council approve the PY 2018-19 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan and authorize the mayor to sign the certifications and the SF 424 application as submitted in 9A.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Mr.
Councilman Muscat.
Is Mr. Hashem here?
No, he's on vacation.
Could I ask Councilor a question?
Sure.
When you put all this together, okay, and you have your administration fee is 20%, correct?
Correct.
Doesn't that supposed to be itemized line by line? If it's not,
Yes, if you look in the attachment, under the executive summary and the budget, we have it itemized. The general admin and planning line item is proposed at $223,606.
But in that, don't you have to have sub-line items for each project?
No, we don't. That's a general admin and planning budget that covers staff, office supplies, anything to do that
Salaries too,
directly administers the block grant program.
Because where I guess I'm coming from is every time we have something like this, if it was line item, you'd have to come back and get approval for council to use the money, correct?
This is the way it's done, is we propose with the total administration line item budget. We have never itemized that. We're not required to, under the grant application, to itemize that break that out into different expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Bazey.
Okay, there's two items on here, the code enforcement for $100,000. Is that what Mr. McIntyre mentioned, that he has somebody dedicated in a certain area? I guess that's the first question.
Can you answer that, Chris?
Yeah, I can address that. That is a total budget for code enforcement activities in low and moderate income areas. It's not a direct reimbursement of a particular salary. The ordinance department and the building department must submit data to prove that the activities occurred in the low mod area, and then we reimburse based on that, based on staff and activities that are done in that area. But it's not directly related to a specific salary, but it's reimbursed from the grant back to the general fund based on the appropriate data that we require per the invoices.
Okay, so what about the second item, which is the crime prevention for $50,000? Does that go to the same fund, or does that go to the for law enforcement, or how's
Okay, that is crime prevention activities for limited clientele groups like seniors, disabled, and in the low mod areas. And again, the police department will submit data to back up their activities, and then we reimburse from the grant based on that. And again, it's not tied to a specific salary, but there's unit costs that are it's a computation of staff, supplies, et cetera, that you do a unit cost and reimburse on that basis.
Okay. Last question. So based on last year's proposal, Did you guys see anything that, there's an area, I saw here some of the stuff from last year. I didn't go through it in details. Do you guys have an area that needs to allocate more money to a certain area and remove some money from another area, or?
Well, again, we went through that process, so all the budget as presented has all of the amounts per the activities, and that is backed up by our action plan and our 5-year plan. So the priority needs we as the administration feel have been met in this budget, and that's how we're presenting it.
Thank you.
So some items are redundant from year to year, but we do consider those on a year-to-year basis, and this is the budget as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Park and Recreation Greibel, Swapka Park Tennis Court Replacement Project, proposal for professional services.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we concur with the Director for Parks and Recreation, Ken Greibel, that we have enclosed here for our review and approval of proposal for professional engineering services from Wade Trim and Associates for the above referenced project, which is the Swapka Park Tennis Court Replacement Project at a cost of $14,000, and authorize the city attorney to prepare a contract with Wade Trim for engineering and replacement of the project. Funds for this project will be taken from our county parks millage allotment and from the Parks and Recreation capital outlay budget as outlined in item 9B.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we have Parks and Recreation Director Greibel, Parkland Park Comfort Station Project Change Order Request Number 2.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Parks and Recreation Director Kenneth Greibel and approve the change order in the amount of $5,089.75 to be taken from the 2017-18 Parks and Recreation Capital Outlay Account 691981. This is for the reinstallation of the DTE meter located next to the new Comfort Station at Parkland Park as submitted in 9C.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I had a question for the Director, if you don't mind. If I can just get a clarification as to, because of this change with DTE, what was the exact dollar amount that changed?
The change order is for $8,906.75. What I gave you in the motion was the breakdown of how I recommend we can pay for it.
Okay.
So, and of course, that was unfortunate. When we contacted DT at the time of the specs, they told us that the existing service that goes from Parkland and all the way down, which is a long run, could be reused. And then when they came out to actually, we contacted the service to have them come out, then they said you had to replace it. So it was an unknown condition.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Constant?
Muscat.
Oh, Muscat, I'm sorry.
I had almost the same question as Councilman Abdullah, but did they give you a reason why we can't use that service?
The age of it, that line is, and also they didn't think it was large enough to service the building in that length of a run. Although there were two considerations that they gave, and they said they would not do the connection unless we replaced it.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilman Wenzel?
Is that an underground service?
Yes, it is.
It's underground, okay.
It'll be underground, so that's trenching. That's unfortunate. That's where all of the cost comes from.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion's carried. The ayes have it. Next on the agenda, we have Deputy Police Chief Voltara. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm going to call you Volt for now, and I'll talk to you later about pronouncing it correctly in the future. For the purchase and payment of...
Dan V.
Dan V. I know people call him Vote. That's for the purchase and payment of 33 bulletproof vests.
Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
I move council approve payment to CMP Distributors for the purchase of 33 bulletproof vests For our officers, the total cost is $19,261. The payment will be paid through federal forfeiture. We will be reimbursed $9,520 from a federal grant as outlined in 9D.
Second.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next, also, again, we have Deputy Police Chief Volt budget transfers.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant,
I move we concur with our Deputy Chief Dan Valentorni and approve the budget amendments as outlined in 9E.
Support.
supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have ordinances and resolutions. The Planning Commission CX District drive-through lanes ordinance change.
Got 9F.
I'm sorry, 11A?
9F.
9F.
We missed 9F.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. 9F is Public Service Administrator Zimmer sign shop equipment purchase.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we concur with Director William Zimmer of DPW, and he's asking basically for an additional, for our review, quotes from TAPCO totaling $6,223.15, and listing the additional materials that he will need to create a fully functional facility that's for making signs, street signs, and to provide us with additional day of training for our employees to get this equipment up and running. And then the approval is to allow DPW to purchase the attached list of materials and services from TAPCO for a total cost of $6,223.15 as outlined in item 9F.
Second. Seconded by Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Oh,
Is there
Councilman
someone
Wilson.
here that can answer a question on that?
Bill is being rushed to the
Yeah, okay, so
hospital.
he's the only one that can answer the question. I was just wondering what the extent of the signs he can make, if it's just the little ones or the bigger ones, do you know?
I would be guessing.
No.
I believe this has got something to do with the signs that we're requesting to put up for trash pickup.
Right.
Probably.
And I may be wrong too, so excuse me, but we had some sign-making equipment that was purchased at my last place of business. And it'll about do anything they want as long as they get it upgraded. They can later on probably purchase other equipment to make larger signs, but I'm sure the signs that they want to make are going to be for the general area. We're not going to be putting on this exit I-94 East or something like that. So I'm going to be pretty confident in saying that what they're asking for is something that is going to be reasonable.
All right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Madam Chair, can we get some, I'm sorry to do this, but can we get some sort of an update on Bill?
Well, since this meeting, I'll follow him to the hospital, but my
Is he okay?
understanding, the firefighters are working on him right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next, number 11, we have ordinances and resolutions. Planning Commission CX District drive-through lanes ordinance change.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move we concur with our Planning Commission and approve the change to allow drive-through lanes in CX districts as outlined in 11A and recommended by our Dearborn Heights Planning Commission.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
I'd like to get an explanation
Councilman Muscat?
and to the residents of where the CS district is.
That's exactly my question.
I went to a few of the council, or the planning commission meetings when they were discussing drive-throughs. Now, we have a drive-through right now at Ford Road at a Dairy Queen that just makes everything miserable, okay? And I disagreed with their outcome of they wanted to have another drive-through at Ford Road and John Daly. That's gonna make John Daly and Ford Road, which is already up there in accidents, gonna be even worse. and putting in no left-hand turn lanes and being able to turn into the subdivision. So I'd like to get someone to tell me exactly where this is for. Because if you make it a whole district, then we're open to everything.
You might want to table this because I don't have anybody that could respond.
Madam Chair? Well, I spoke with somebody from the Planning Commission, and I want to get a clearer understanding of it. And from what I understood, this is primarily focused on Ford Road, especially a lot of the new businesses that are being built right now, and most specifically, this is pertaining to the new Starbucks that's supposed to go up at John Daly and Ford Road. And that particular Starbucks, primarily reason for moving from 50 yards away is to add a drive-through, which I have friends that own coffee shops. If you don't have a drive-through, you're not going to be a successful coffee business. So that's the main reason they moved and spent all that money, and on Telegraph. So this is primarily changing it to the mixed-use districts, which is CX, which is residential commercial, which is what Ford Road was when they were residential, and now they're mixed-use.
And I also know that MDOT is looking at that intersection, and it requires their approval for the egress into the place, and so they're very concerned because of that intersection over there.
The particular person I spoke with talked about making the exit a little further out from the light.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to try.
I mean, we have a motion on the table, but I'd like to see this go to a study session and bring, ask the planning commission to come and explain us their reasoning behind this, and the notices that go out, and I know there's notices out that go out for public hearings on this, but when I went to this meeting, there was nobody from the public here. And there's a few people from the public that didn't want it, but were not listened to. I mean, they just, it's no different than we are. So I can't complain. We have our agenda set, we vote on it, but this is something that I think that needs to be looked at a little closer.
Madam Chair?
Okay. Councilman.
Well, my recommendation would be that a motion be made to refer this to a study session and to invite members of the Planning Commission to the study session to discuss the proposed changes.
Councilman Wenzel?
Well, I know this is a hot topic, because when I was on the Planning Commission, we had Taco Bell had a variance one on Telegraph and on Dearborn and Annapolis, a drive-through, and it was merely 10 feet away from a residential property. And they tore down the house behind it, and now it's an empty lot. So when you put them in a CX, you're putting yourself in the risk of having it so close to someone's back door. It'd have to go case by case, I think, for this situation.
Okay, well, let's move it to a study session then.
Well, we have
There's a motion.
Need to vote on the motion or amend it.
All right, any further discussion?
We could amend them.
You can amend, you can make a motion.
Or you can just make the motion to refer, and that will supersede. It's an incidental motion. You can make that motion.
Should I make a motion that we refer this to study session?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
The only issue I have with that is sometimes you slow these types of businesses down. One of the things that you don't want to do in any city is give the impression to businesses that we're not open to businesses that want to come in. And somebody like Starbucks, I'm just thinking of them, that is a major player as far as franchises in the area. And then we take this to a study session. We don't get it on next week's agenda, and we don't get it maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. And then by the time they go back to planning, now we've delayed them a month or a month and a half or maybe even 2 months. I'm just thinking, to me, we got to have confidence in the people that are specifically put in place to make these types of decisions, and that's the Planning Commission. I'm sure they didn't just say, let's do this, and they said, okay, let's do it. I'm sure they studied it. So that's a factor that we got to factor in, that this will delay it out.
And they did, with all due respect. I was at a couple of different ones when they talked about it, so it wasn't just a random decision. So you are correct in saying that.
Madam Chair? Yeah, I mean, the Starbucks on Telegraph or any of the new Tim Hortons on Ford Road, you've got to have a drive-through, and the present location doesn't. So in the morning, if someone wants to pull in, Starbucks would be a valuable business, an additional one to have in the city.
Madam Chair?
But
If I can just say, I attend the planning and zoning meetings regularly. This is also, there were some modifications that they had to make on their site plan to accommodate the drive-through traffic, and Mark Roberts, who is the attorney for the city and for the Planning Commission. He approved or encouraged them to make the modification so that it would be in compliance. One of the things that I understand is, I don't know the exact number of cars, but if you look at the actual site plan, it looks potentially like they could have as many as 15 or more cars in the drive-through, not interfering with Ford Road traffic. The building itself is going to be elongated, going deep, so they're going to have a long drive-through if they needed it. So I know it was part of the discussions at many of the planning meetings, that particular subject about the drive-through.
Council Chair? There may be a way to deal with both issues. First of all, this is not an actual ordinance that's here today. Perhaps this matter can end up being put on the agenda for the next time, and you could also refer it to the study session, and there need to be 2 readings. And so before you come to your second reading, you have the study session, and so you would be able to refer to a study session, amend the motion to refer to the study session, and have this put on the next agenda for a first reading.
You want to do that?
Good
idea.
Yeah. Let's just get it through as quick as we can.
Corporation Counsel, I guess.
Yeah, just say that you would like to amend your motion
I'd like to amend my motion
to be as I stated.
as stated by Corporation Counsel's advice, and then
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton would have to agree to the amendment.
Councilwoman?
Support, second the motion.
Seconds the motion. Any further discussion?
We just,
Councilman Bazey?
so if it does go on the agenda, we'd like to have, it has to be specific as to which areas or which business. So as stated by Councilman Muscat, we don't want to leave it open like the business on, the Dairy Queen on Ford Road. I've talked to numerous residents over there when I was walking, and they have huge issues with that drive-through. It's a safety hazard. People can't get out of their street. And also residents, all they hear is, welcome to Dairy Queen, can I help you? All hours. So I'm sorry. So.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next on the agenda is Communication Great Lakes Water Authority, also known as GLWA, Public Hearing Notice, Pump Station Number 1, PS-1, Ferric Chloride System Rehabilitation and Struvite Removal Project.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks
Try to
Clayton.
keep this one simple. When I move, we receive, note, and file this item.
You want to do 12A and 12B?
We could do 12A and 12B together if you like.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, they're both the same thing. They're publications by Great Lakes Water Authority.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next on the agenda, we already
13B.
are on 13B, adoption of administration fee.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Move to adopt the resolution of it's dated May 22nd, 2018, administration fee as submitted in 13B.
support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
this is for the clerk. Can I get a
Not
clarification?
there yet. Sorry, I'm going to stop you.
I'm sorry?
Resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Councilman Bazey?
Yes. What is the 1%? So you got people, the residents, you're increasing their taxes, so they still have to pay an additional 1% fee? Is that what this is?
Can anybody answer that?
If I might, I think, let's ask the treasurer, because this is the fee for his office basically collecting the tax.
Yeah, the 1% fee is something that's been historically approved by the council for the last 8-10 years. And it's basically used to assess, collect the property taxes. It's allowed under the General Property Tax Act law.
We collect not only our taxes, but also school taxes.
We collect
county
tax for the 6 school districts, the county, the state, and all these other jurisdictions.
Any further questions?
It will be no change. It will be not be any increase.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we have business license renewals for Antonio's Italiana, 26356 Ford, the Carl E. Stitt Post, number 232 at 23850 Military, Carrieras Italiana at 6565 North Telegraph, and Irwine's Auto Sales, 23706 Van Born.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move we authorize the renewal of the business licenses for Antonio's Cucina Italiana, the Stitt Post, Carrera's Italian Restaurant, and Irwin Auto Sales, as outlined in 13C.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there
Madam Chair?
any discussion?
Sorry.
No problem.
This is for the clerk in regards to Irwin's Auto Sales. One of the checks on here, it says, at the present time, you are delinquent in your water bill in the amount of $1,181.61. Just to get a clarification, is that up to date now? Is that paid off? Because I know there was an additional, looks like in-house document here, and it still said that there was some amount due, so I'm just, if I could get a clarification on that?
I'll answer that. Attached is a copy of the history for the water count there at Irwin Sales, and you can see on April 2nd that they brought their balance down to zero, if you look at that one document. And so now they just have their current water bill due of $90.61.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. At this time, we are going to ask for comments from the council members at the table. Anyone have comments?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I'd just like to wish our fellow residents Ramadan Mubarak and Happy Ramadan for those that are fasting for this month of Ramadan. It'll be 30 days of fasting, and wish them all the best and the best of health.
Any other comments, concerns? Councilman Lund?
On behalf of the city of Dearborn Heights, we'd like to thank the Home Depot and Team Home Depot for what it is they give out grants and they supply labor. The employees donate their time, and Home Depot supplies materials. And they just recently did a project at our Dearborn Heights splash pad where they supplied paint, mulch, and more importantly, labor. And that was spearheaded by one of the employees of Home Depot, Peggy Greibel. Peggy Greibel. Good job, Peggy. And also, I'd like to thank everyone again for the Ecorse Creek cleanup, all the sponsors that we had. It was a good turnout. We're just making our final report right now. And I want all the residents to know that all the city council members up here, we have a lot of hard decisions to make, and the buck stops here, so to speak, and we make decisions not on who our friends are or associates we have or businesses we like or people in administration that we like. We make them to best represent the citizens of Dearborn Heights, so you got to understand some of the stuff we do is for your best interest, and believe me, it is. Thank you.
Any Councilman Muscat?
With the happenings of today, I want to make sure that all of us keep prayers in our heart for Mr. Zimmer. Hopefully that he'll come through with whatever is ailing him tonight.
Second, yes. Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant?
I want to thank the Senior Alliance for coming and encourage everyone who needs, as an elder person, that they need help taken care of. I know I've called them and contacted them, and they've been helpful. The city makes a contribution to their budget every year. They're located in Wayne, Michigan, 734-727-2014. And everybody to take advantage of our area agency on aging, the Senior Alliance.
Thank you. Any further comments from the table? Clerk?
Monday is Memorial Day. I'd like to just take a minute to remember all our fallen veterans, and also want to take a chance to thank all of the veterans out there, all the veterans watching, and all the veterans throughout our area. Thank you for your service. It is greatly appreciated. On Monday, I believe at 10 a.m., there will be a memorial mass at St. Hedwig Cemetery, and I believe there will be a ceremony outside the Stit Post at 9 a.m. So once again, thank you, veterans. You are greatly appreciated.
Councilman Bazey?
Also on Monday, Dearborn's having the Dearborn Memorial Day Parade. It's actually the largest in the U.S., and Dearborn Heights Fire Department will be in the parade this year. And we're actually honoring, this year's theme is Medal of Honor recipients, and we have Lieutenant Colonel Kettles, who actually served in Vietnam, and he got his Medal of Honor 50 years later, and so he's going to be our Grand Marshal. I encourage everybody to participate this year. I'll be emceeing the ceremony. I'm also the parade marshal. The parade commander. Not the Grand Marshal. Grand Marshal is Lieutenant Colonel Kettles. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilman Wenzel?
I just want to apologize to Peggy Greibel for messing up her name, but I just had a little brain thing there. I'm still not used to speaking in public like this, but Peggy is the wife of our Parks and Recreation Director, Ken Greibel, and she does a great job there at Home Depot. And I want to once again take my hat off to the Home Depot and their grant program for all the stuff they do for Dearborn Heights. They've given, last year, they give us a grant of almost $3,000 to the Richard A. Young Rain Garden Maintenance Program, and we bought tools and supplies and mulch and everything for that, and they did a really good job for the community. Thanks again.
Okay, any other comments from council members? At this time, I'm going to ask for community announcements.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to talk about a couple of quick items coming up at the library. First off, June 7th at 7 p.m. at Carolyn Kennedy Library. Join us for Korea, Land of the Morning Calm. Maria Fogarasi will be giving a talk on Korea's ancient culture and history, providing an in-depth look at the traditional beauty of the region. Also, Tuesday, June 12th at 7 p.m. at Carolyn County Library. Join us for Great Lakes Pirates. Pirates once sailed the inland seas in the 1700s through the early 1900s. Great Lakes historian Lori Fleet, pun not intended, will give us about the pirates who sailed our lakes and their shenanigans. So that's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other community announcements?
I wanted to say something, well, let the community announcements, and I'd like to say something real quick.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Clerk Prushevitz, and our illustrious Treasurer, John Riley. Well, you stole my thunder a little bit.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay.
Forget what I said.
We'll take all the accolades we can get for our department and, of course, for our local Home Depot in Dearborn Heights. Just to give you a little history on how that all came about, 6 years ago when we were going through some very difficult times in Dearborn Heights, it was really hard to find the resources to maintain the splash pad, and quite honestly, the splash pad was looking pretty bad. We tried to enlist a service club, but quite honestly, the work was just way too difficult. I tried to tell that service club at the time it would be very, very difficult, and we both came to terms that yes, it was. And so we had to find another way of getting that done. So that's when I went to my wife, and I knew Home Depot had done projects in other areas, and said, hey, is there any chance that Home Depot would take on the splash pad? And so she said, well, I'll take it up line and find out. So she ran with it, and then came back and said, yeah, we'll do it. And so I'd like to have my wife, Peggy, come up, and so she can tell you, today was that day where they did it. She can tell you how many volunteers and exactly what they accomplished. Peggy?
The door.
See ya.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As everyone noticed, I am Ken's wife, Peggy, and I have been an employee of the Dearborn Heights Home Depot for about 18 years now. And the last 6 years, we have partnered with the city of Dearborn Heights to take on the splash pad, which is one of our golden jewels in the city. If you haven't been over there, please take a minute and take a chance to drive around. Don't take Silvery Lane, it's torn up. But today we had 8 of my associates come out, everybody from a plumber to a department head to one of our ASMs, which is an assistant store manager. We had a couple garden workers and we had an appliance specialist, and every one of them came out on their day off, volunteered their time and energy and sweat, and we pulled probably 25 bags of weeds, painted with 9 gallons of paint that has an additive with sand in it so the little ones don't slip, because that was an issue, as Mayor remembers. And we put down about 50 bags of mulch. So it looks beautiful, it's clean, it's ready to go, and opening day is this Friday.
Oh,
so if you have any little ones, please bring them on and let them enjoy a summer on our splash pad.
Wow, good job.
Thank you.
Well, that's just one of the creative ways that our department tries to work with the business community and find solutions to problems. And when we get together, there are solutions out there. And Home Depot, as Councilman Wenzel mentioned, in many areas have been a really good partner and a really good business that we brought in. So the second item I just want to touch on really quick, just real briefly, is our Dearborn Heights Spirit Festival. It's June 6th through the 10th. It's coming up very, very quickly. There will be a lot of great happenings going on, amusement rides, entertainment, a lot of free things for the community to enjoy. Kids of all ages can come out, from tiny tots to senior citizens, and I think they'll find something to do at our festival. It's our 32nd year. I work with the volunteer committee that works very, very hard on putting this on every year. So there are schedules out. You can find it on the city's website, on our Parks and Recreation website, and then there will be flyers and going home with every school child. So if you have a child at home and they bring home a backpack, check it, because there will be a flyer probably coming out in the next 5 days. They've already been delivered, and they'll be in all the city buildings. So there's many ways to get the information, and then you can pick and choose what activities you want to come down to enjoy. So hopefully everybody on council will join us at the festival at least one or more of the days, and thank you.
Thank you.
Announcements. Thank you. I want to make some comments about the budget.
Mr. Chairman.
Can I speak first? And so good to see you.
May I?
Which one you want to do?
Are you all prepared to stay for a while? I haven't had a chance to talk up here for 23 years, so now I'm taking my chance.
Unfortunately, at this time, we ask no personal attacks pertaining to city business only. Do not repeat the same thing the person before you said in 3 minutes. We're going to have to limit everybody because of the amount of people here, and I apologize.
I was going to talk about this year.
I didn't want you reading page by page.
Good evening, Mayor, Council Chair, and fellow citizens. I'm here tonight to briefly speak about the budget, which was taken off of the agenda, I understood, after I got here, after driving 65 miles to get here because I'm staying with my daughter temporarily. I know much discussion has been had on the raises for the department heads and various other employees. First, I would like the council to keep in mind you are really not giving a raise to a person. You're giving it to the position. If our salaries don't compete with other cities in and around us, when our current people retire, will we be able to get experienced, qualified people to fill those positions? This has been a long time coming. First, we were in a recession, then we were under the thumb of the state for 5 years, and no raises were given. If one of our directors left today, I don't think we would get a well-qualified person very quickly. There is a learning curve that needs to be considered. I have the salary survey here with me. According to the population, we are pretty low on the totem pole. The closest we come to comparable money
is $74,000 in any of the departments. So I'm asking here, I'm here to ask you to reconsider your decisions regarding pay raises and bring Dearborn Heights at least close to another comparable city. And I want to give you an example that I thought of on the way here. I'm going to use Ken Greibel as an example because I know his department, I think I know his department the best because I kind of started in the recreation department. He can leave. He can leave tomorrow if he wants to. If he left, if he turned in his resignation tomorrow, he'd be gone in 2 weeks. And we've got Spirit Festival. And I look around this room, and there's only 4 people in here that probably could help with Spirit Festival. I'm one of them. Jerry's one of them. She isn't here. I guess there's 3 of us. And that is a big job. That is a big, big job to take over at the middle of the situation. So I'm begging you, please don't look at the person. Look at the job and look at the salary. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I might. It appears some of you have not gotten over me winning the election last November, in an effort to still continue against the will of the public, are now going after my department heads. I'm responsible for all the actions of my department heads, and I have a right as a mayor to select who I want. To refuse to give raises to certain department heads to get them to quit is an abuse of power and an indication some of you are not fit for elective office. Our
We ask no
department heads
personal
are very
attacks.
dedicated people who care deeply about Dearborn Heights. They receive no overtime and are on call, and I have called them even when they were on vacation. The city saved hundreds of thousands of dollars when some of them agreed to enter into early retirement. Rather than thank them and compensate them, some members of the council want to lose their knowledge and experience and force me to replace them with people who will demand higher pay and benefits. This will cost thousands more for our taxpayers. If Ken Greibel quits, who's going to run the Spirit Festival in a couple weeks? Should I lose the building and engineering director, does the city suspend all inspections? And what about the services provided by DPW and water and sewer? You refer to 4- and 5-day work weeks, yet the truth is the people are on call and available whenever we need them. With this budget, I tried to standardize the compensation for all deputies and directors. Yet you change those numbers, and your new numbers speak to nepotism, cronyism, and gender discrimination. Further, your direct attacks upon my 3 female department heads is so obvious that it will could lead to a significant lawsuit the city will not be able to defend. This fact is highlighted by the refusal and the treatment towards my assistant, Christina Laszlo. Christina is second in command in the city and serves as chief of staff. In 2011, like nearly all employees, she accepted a 10% reduction in her salary. Since then, she has received nothing in additional compensation. Based on last Thursday night's deliberation, I was shocked and insulted to hear your position that she would not receive an increase, and you even refused to reinstate her 10% reduction that all the other employees have received. As a department head and a resident, she has gone beyond the call of service. She has responded to needs during all different times of day and night. Unlike some of you, I do not believe she is replaceable.
Thank you. Please state your name, address, no personal attacks, and pertaining to city business.
My name is John Cipoletti, 26855 Baldwin Street. I have one question first, and then I wanted to ask some other things. The signs you're talking about for trash pickup, will there also be on there snow emergency removal information so that the cars will be taken away so that they can remove the snow from streets?
Corporate counsel, can you answer that?
Or if there isn't, and no, you don't know, please have it on there so we don't have cars and trucks when it's a snow emergency removal.
Councilman Muscat?
You know, I know that we wanted the street signs for no parking on trash pickup. As far as snow emergencies, I think that's been a long-standing policy of the city for
Since I was a kid.
ever since I could remember living in this city. We have a news flyer that comes out twice a year that states emergencies, and it's also recorded, you know, on public TV and on radio. And for us to endure another cost of, you know, adding to that sign, I mean, and a lot of this is common sense. Everybody wants their street cleaned. Everybody. They want our snow removed from the street, but yet they refuse to take their cars off the street. So, again, I don't know how that's going to come about, but I know that we're going to have the signs for no parking on trash pickup. But
Yeah, I spent 4 years removing all that snow from neighbors who park their cars on my side, and I tolerated it. But now at 70, I don't tolerate it any longer, and I want somebody to ticket those cars, okay? And if they can't ticket it because of the signs aren't there, then what do I do?
I think that's just for trash, not for...
Well, I'm just trying to say, I'm adding the snow removal, emergency
Personally,
removal.
I know the snow removal or snow emergency has been in effect since at least the 80s, because I remember at my parents' house moving up the driveway, everybody had to figure out who was going to leave first and second in the morning because of the snow. So it's been here for
Okay, but tell that to my neighbors, all right? So that I don't have to keep digging the snow out?
Well, we have the sirens, too.
What?
We have sirens to warn the people, too, that it's
but
a
tell
snow.
my neighbors that park there on my side when the snow emergency is, and so I have to clean 4 to 5 feet of snow off with my snow blower and shovel. That's all. Just tell my neighbors. Another thing you talked about is the sewer cleaning. I had floodings in my basement a number of times, so I brought out professionals. They dug way into your sewer system, and we pulled out over 25 pounds of disposable diapers and hand wipes and grease, and add 10 more pounds of metal parts, including antennas, wiring, and other things that they pulled out of there, okay, before the city came out to clean. I just wanted to let you know. And finally, could somebody please get the ordinance people to start responding a little better? I gave you some pictures here that on the table here that shows trash left on my land, my property, by neighbors that's supposed to put it somewhere else for 4 days because they didn't pick it up. And GFL tells me to call DPW, and DPW tells me to call the ordinance, and ordinance gives me voicemail. So I would like to have a little bit better response. Also, I lived in Detroit for almost 10 years, and I'm starting to feel like it's Detroit again. If you look at the picture with the peeling paint off that's been on there for 3 months on the corner house, with the weeds 4 to 5 a foot high on the rentals. I got one picture there, I think, just a big old picture to show you what they looked like on trash day, where they threw the mattress out on the street. But they did give us a fantastic deal. We got to see a 4-hour drug raid on that rental property. 4 hours that we could sit out there, and so we didn't have to watch Law and Order. Okay? That's, well, anyway, the point is, and if you look at the bottom of these pictures, you'll see a military truck on Charlesworth, okay, which was, and the fire engines go down that section, so whenever there's cars illegally parked on one side and that fire truck is parked on the other side, that fire truck can't get through. Okay, that military truck. And then on the other side is my corner house where there's a commercial truck, and there's commercial trucks everywhere anymore. Some of them with 3 commercial trucks sitting on my street. And this one, if you see at the end, it carries cars. And it used to carry the whole trailer onto our street and leave it there all night. Okay. And that would hide 2 driveways. That would cover 2 driveways.
Okay, at this time, would anybody like to respond from the city?
Yeah, so I wanted to give this.
Director McIntyre will address it.
Just have the address.
Yep, we spoke today on the phone, you and I,
Okay.
and I sent someone over there.
Oh, yeah, you did. Thank you, you did.
Yeah.
But why did I have to wait 4 days for that trash to be taken off my lawn so I could get my grass cut? Last week.
You told me that you've been allowing your neighbor to put his trash on your property.
No, I'm not saying it that way. I say I don't want to have conflict with our new neighbors who might want to fight me.
Right, I asked you if you had gone over there and asked them to not put the trash on your property.
They should put it on Hass side if they are on the Hass side.
Correct.
Okay? But then at least have the GFL pick it up on the trash day, not wait 4 days. That's really what I'm asking.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mind if they're doing illegal things as long as they get the trash picked up.
Well, I think you know what?
And the same place has 3 commercial trucks sitting there, but of course they only sit there Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays when the city is closed.
Yeah, I explained to you that I have staff that work Friday and
I know.
Saturday.
I'm just want to point out to everybody.
I'm really surprised that you're here because I thought we covered all this today, but that's fine.
I was talking about the sewers also, if you listen.
Okay.
And about
All right, well, thank you very much.
All right. So I would hope we could cut some of these lawns too, so there's 1 foot of weeds on, especially on these rentals.
Yeah, I would talk with Director McIntyre on that, and
Yeah,
he'll...
but sometimes I only get a voicemail and no response.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Come back.
Go ahead, sir. State your
My name's
name.
Dana Parrish. I live at 5614 Grinley Park in Dearborn Heights. Mr. Abdallah and I have had many phone calls, many emails. I've also spoken to, or attempted to speak to the mayor this many times over the last 15 years, 14 years. Never gotten a response from the mayor's office once. I've spoken to his secretary and his administrative assistant who've been less than friendly. I have a problem with, an ongoing problem over 14 years with a property that burned at 5666 Grinley Park. Mr. Abdallah has gone above and beyond the call of duty for me. He's helped me. Mr. McIntyre has done the best he can do for me. At this point, there are rabbits, rats, vermin, because there is garbage, tires, there's wood piled on the ground, and if anybody knows anything about those kind of vermin, when you have stuff like that on the ground, those kind of vermin are attracted to it. And for 14 years, you can only imagine the kind of vermin that I have. Now, I have a dog legally registered in the city of Dearborn Heights. And when rabbits come and they defecate in your property, dogs can eat that because dogs will eat feces. Some of the things the dogs can get from eating rabbit feces, lepto, coccidia, giardia, other things besides the things that rats can do to dogs and people. But yet, every time I've tried to call the city and get some help, beg for help, I've left phone messages, I've left photographs. Today I sent the mayor, and I know he probably hasn't gotten it yet, I sent him a video, and just before I left, I also sent you a copy of the video, sir, as well, of the property. I always get some kind of something about, oh, there's a permit that's been pulled, it's ongoing, he has a reasonable time to complete the work. 14 years, or 12 years at the time. Well, now the city owns the property. The city owned it as of last fall. We need it cleaned up. Please clean the property up. And when you clean it up, let's not just go over there and bulldoze it. Let's put traps out and do it by the law. The law says you must protect the citizens, the residents of the city from vermin. So there should be traps put over there, and the rats need to be taken care of as well.
Okay, at this time, would anybody from the city like to respond?
Isn't this the one that we purchased for purposes of removal because we couldn't get action? I apologize.
I understand, sir, but this is really...
Yeah, we did purchase it.
We talked, yes, sir.
What's a little interesting about this one is it's not an abandoned house technically. We're working with our city attorney. He's preparing an eviction for the person that never really occupied it, just used it as a storage place.
Right.
We've been out there. I'm making sure that our contractor is keeping the property clean. I was out there a couple nights ago. Someone opened the door. The police called me. I met them out there. We secured the door. I agree with you. There's some rodents there that we're going to need to take care of. So as soon as the eviction process happens, we're going to get in there and remove all the stuff that's there, what's inside, and you're right, we're going to have to do it responsibly and make sure that we put some traps in there and some preventative measures. So.
As a retired policeman, I can tell you, to the council, corporate council, how long does it take you to do an eviction process from last fall, sir?
Well, I can say part of the difficulty is that similar to when we were dealing with him before, he vanished at a certain point.
Okay.
And a couple times we've
the
been...
legal process of an eviction takes how long, sir? Corporate counsel. Through the chair. Through the chair.
Through the chair? It all depends on if you're able to locate the person and give them appropriate notice.
You give them legal notice through the paper. How long does it take, sir? I know the answer to that question.
Okay, then answer.
90 days.
Okay.
Through Wayne County. It's been a lot longer than 90 days, sir.
Yeah, if I can just tell you this, I feel for them. We are doing our very best to keep the property up. There's a house on Jackson that many of you know where the gentleman had some mental health issues and had moved from the house into his own garage. And then at the point where we finally got an eviction for him, we literally had to try to find when he'd come back to the neighborhood. We finally caught up with him one day. He was randomly walking down the street, and we had the court officer serve him with the eviction. So that's been the tricky part. So.
I have all the respect for you, Mr. McIntyre. I really do. I know you're doing everything you can do, but I think the whole hold up here is this whole situation here, and it's got to be clean. I mean, it's clean the best you can do it, but it's got to be clean.
It's a priority. I'll tell you, Chrissy and I were just looking at the Hanover houses down the street, and we made it a point to stop by and assess what's there, what's going to need to be removed from there. We just did that this past week, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Old age is beginning to catch up to me. I need a cane. I forgot it. I used my golf club. I always got that in my back of my trunk. Anyway, I'm Jerry Willems. I lived on Hubble, Dearborn Heights for over 40 years. And I want to speak to one of your department heads, Ken Greibel. I've lived in the city and seen a lot of recreation directors. They haven't done very much. When I get mad at the current director, I'd say anybody would look good after the one they replaced. Anyway, I do respect him. He's a very knowledgeable person. I volunteer for him on several projects, including the Spirit Festival. It's amazing what he can do and the money he can save. I work with him on trying to keep my budget down. I'm the entertainment chairman. I try to hire all the entertainment and negotiate with him. And he's very pleased sometimes when I come with what I come up with. He usually turns in several $1,000s back to the city in income exceeding expenses. Fantastic. We have a backup, Antonio's, but he says, I'll cover your losses up to $7,000. We usually turn about at least that much back to the city. Hasn't cost him a dime. He gets a tremendous amount of publicity. Mr. Greibel has my deepest respect. I've worked for a lot of managers in the past. I'm a volunteer for him, and I respect him. He knows what he's doing. If we lost him, we would lose a valuable asset to the community. He's built the Richard A. Young Center. He's done a fantastic job on the maintenance, and I really enjoyed volunteering and working for him. I respect his opinion. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you.
Clerk.
Thank you, Jerry.
Any other comments?
Good evening, Council and Mayor Paletko.
Name and address?
City Clerk. My name is Gary Barkoff. I'm at 5615 Academy Street in Dearborn Heights. I've been a lifelong resident of Dearborn Heights. I am the director and CEO with the District 7 Dads Club. It's a youth organization that's been in existence for 65 years. I was told by the IRS we are the longest youth sports organization in the nation that it has been in consecutively. We're all volunteer organization. I'm here to speak on behalf of the District 7 Dads Club, Board of Directors, and membership for Ken Greibel. We work so closely with Ken and his administration that if I really feel in my heart of heart, if we lose Ken over money, we are really doing an injustice to the residents and the kids of Dearborn Heights. Over the years, I've worked with several different department heads in the recreation department, but in the last 25 or 30 years, we have, me and Ken and the Dads Club has had such a good rapport that I don't know what would happen with the Dads Club, and I'm dead serious, if Ken was to resign tomorrow or next week. I really hope that the City Council, with putting this on the agenda for next week, really think deep in their hearts that is it worth losing him or not? Because you can make or find up the money and find the money somewhere else. It's just what's really due to him. I'm sure the other department heads, but I can't speak for them. All I know is Ken Greibel really is a very, very good recreation director, and I have talked to several other cities, the city of Dearborn, the city of Garden City, the city of Taylor. They have much respect for Ken, and I'm sure they would grab him in a minute. So I really hope you can really seriously, when you vote next week, find it in your hearts to vote the right way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marty O'Sullivan. I live at 23356 North Brookside in Dearborn Heights. It's over in the south end. I've been a lifelong Dearborn Heights resident, and I've known Mr. Greibel, and I'm here to speak regarding recreation and everything that comes with it. I've known him for over 20-some years now. I've been involved with the Recreation Commission. I've been a member since 1997. I'm currently the chairman, and I've held that position for almost as long. I wanted to speak real quickly on something that Mr. Councilperson Wenzel had said in regard to all of you, which I have much respect for. And like he said, we're here because it's a community that we love and enjoy. And you guys all are up there to make hard decisions and what's best for the city and the community and its residents. And recreation is a vital part of that community and the people that it serves. Knowing that and knowing your fiscal responsibility that accompanies that, you also know the challenges you face when you try to save a buck here and do something in another area. And trying to think that you might save it by possibly replacing that person is a risk. It's like taking a chance and rolling the dice. And I think for the betterment of the city, as evidenced by the hard times we have faced and the challenges that we've gone through and come out on the other side, that it would be futile to take a few steps backward. We're all moving in the right direction, and that's a true reflection of Mr. Greibel and the Recreation Department. And look at the Spirit Festival too, that goes along with that. That was kind of like his baby, so to speak, that he's taken it, you know, and ran with it, and it's been 32 years. And I've been involved with that for over 22 now, you know, and it's been enjoyable. It's a volunteer position for me, as well as the Rec Commission, but I do it because of the betterment of the community on the whole. What we talk about in our meetings is not what each one of us would like as what you all do yourselves. It's what can benefit all of us. So please just reconsider. I don't want to regurgitate any more than what has been already said by other people, but just know that respect and honor is something that's earned over time, and it can be lost very quickly. So please reconsider, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm going to ask that, I know everybody adores Director Greibel, we all do. If you have something new to say, we'd appreciate it, but to keep repeating the same thing, it's just going to take up too much time here.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Lynn Killian, and I've been a resident of Dearborn Heights for 45 years. I do agree with everybody about Ken Greibel. I also agree with what Marge Horvath said about giving equal pay for the work that people do. But I especially want to speak in support of Christina Laszlo, the mayor's assistant. Many times when I watch the city council meetings, I hear people talking about problems, and she's involved with every single department in the city. She goes above and beyond her job. So when you deny her to give back the pay even that she gave up in 2011 and then denied to give her a raise, it doesn't seem fair. So I really want you to consider giving her a fair pay for what she deserves. Can you tell me why you would deny even giving up pay that someone gave up? Why would you deny that? Can anybody answer me that? Why that was denied?
At this point, I guess no one's going to answer it.
I mean, how can that possibly be fair? I mean, think about it when you're making these decisions.
I can answer it, at least on behalf of myself. I will say publicly that I did not realize at the time until the chief spoke that she was the only one that had not been given a raise, and I am in favor of giving her a raise at this particular point. If nothing else, at least getting back the 10% cut that she took.
Thank you. At least that. And please, I appreciate your comment. And please consider more when you do make that final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello.
Name, address?
My name's Leonard Isaac, 5654 Huron. I'm the president of Dearborn Heights Redskins for the last 25 years. We are a Little League football program, tackle tier, ages 6 to 14. I know Mr. Greibel for 25 years. I've worked for him, and he gives his heart and soul to the youth programs, the rec programs. He puts everything he has in this, and I've not seen nobody that puts the hard work in that he has.
We can appreciate it. Like I said, you know, we all
If we lose him, we'd be losing a valuable piece of assets to our community.
Thank you. Name, address?
Hi, I'm Maria Lou Langlois, 7104 Kenmore. First of all, Mayor, Council, all of you, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for working very, very hard for our city of Dearborn Heights. I know you have a lot of decisions to make, and I appreciate it, and I know the citizens do. I got invited tonight by a friend and also my boss from the Recreation Department, but I want to say this. Really think about, I support what Marge Horvath said, and I support what the mayor says today. I don't know much about the budget. I'm not involved really with the politics and who gets what, and some of the department heads, even though I've lived here 42 years, I still don't know who's who, and I have to say, who is that? But I do believe we all are human, and sometimes if you're not accepted well by the council or someone that works for the mayor, they're human. And I know Chrissy works very, very hard. I know you work very, very hard. And just look at it, and even if you have to go, I'm sorry to say, even this is government, in prayer, okay? Whether, if you look up at the upper high or in with God, or please really concentrate and look at the position and not the person. And I also support Mr. Greibel. So thank you very much for working hard, council. I do appreciate it. And happy Ramadan to my Arabic neighbors, and may your prayers come true. Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and address, please.
Hi, everybody. Sue Kaminsky, 7742 Amboy. I want to thank the City Council. I know how hard of a job you have, and I don't begrudge anybody getting raises. My concern is the inequity of the amount of raises for some of the administrators as opposed to what the city workers are getting. And I just strongly believe that for our city to run, with all due respect to you, Mr. Mayor, it's like wheels on a spoke. In order for it to run, the directors are a spoke, the city workers are a spoke, and for the city workers to get offered such an embarrassing percentage of a raise in comparison to the administrators, I have a real problem with that. So if the raises were more equitable across the board, I think the community would be more in support. And good luck. I appreciate what you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone, please step up and state your name and your address.
Suzanne Todd, 4011. I'm sorry.
Oh, and limited to 3 minutes.
4011 Academy. I agree with the lady that just preceded me. I think that all raises have to be equitable. I also believe that until the TPOAM contract that was agreed upon last year is put into effect, that there should be no raises. If there are raises, cap it at 4%. How can raises over 4%, much less 40%, be justified for anyone as long as the needs of the residents are not being met by having City Hall closed on a Friday? That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilwoman Hicks
Thank you.
Clayton.
Madam Chair, I just want for the public to know, and I appreciate everyone's, from the department heads to the mayor to the city council members. Thank you for all of your time and commitment to trying to work through this budget. But what I want the residents to know, what I'm hearing, and I want to stress, this is not, it's never personal. It's about a position on replacing the value for that position based on the job title and the job description. And the city council was provided with a conference of Western Wayne's municipal comparatives. So this is something that we, and you can see mine's pretty beat up, because we have used this when we were looking at this information as we went line item by line item, budget by budget. So I just wanted to share that with you, because you may not be aware that is part of the process that we were engaged with. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdel.
I'd just like to add to that, and it's not in disagreement with Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton. Sorry with fasting, a little. But I do want to say that while looking through that, almost consistently, our city's pay for the department heads was lower than a lot of the competing cities. So I, for one, am a believer in paying a lot of department heads something comparable to other cities are in our area that have the same number of residents, so that not so much that we lose people, which is a negative, but at the same time so that we pay people and keep people happy. Now this includes, of course, our administrators, you know, with the union and all that. I mean, I'm in favor of them getting a raise, absolutely. So across the board, the better pay that you pay people, the better employees that you have. So I'm definitely in favor of that. Thank you.
I move to adjourn.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Move to adjourn by Councilman Bazey.